All right, the first item is Resolution 87. That is the trucks issue. I was hoping we'd all be able to vote on it, but Dave's not here, so we're gonna have to go to third reading on that. Suppose we could table it, but should we table it? And should we table it till next meeting so Dave could vote on it too?
Is that a yes?
No,
vote or?
I mean, my recommendation would be just leave it on second.
Okay,
Okay.
let's leave it on second.
That's what I
I'd
thought
like-
the advice
yeah.
was gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally, council only tables if it's gonna be an extended
Right.
break in discussing.
Case guy used the wrong terminology. Thanks, Mark. All right, ordinance 90. This is amending the employee pay benefits and uniform and stuff. And so there was so we got the original one for the last meeting, and it was just amended again extensively. Yes. So do you want to go over that a little bit? And I don't know, Mrs. Tully wasn't here for the last one, so she might benefit from hearing a little bit more about it.
Right, so this is a code section that we had in place, and the main effect was to carry over certain collective bargaining benefits that those members receive and transfer them over to the certain non-collective bargaining employees, primarily for the police department and fire department. The first proposed amendment that you received just added a CDL bonus for the supervisors, essentially for the service department. This also added uniform and boot allowance stipend for service, and also made some modifications for both the police department and the fire department to reflect what we've been doing, the stipends that we've been carrying over that were negotiated to the non-union guys.
So any further questions on that? Are you guys ready for us to do a third reading on this? Are you done amending it?
It just popped into my head right now. I probably should keep my mouth shut, but I honestly, there's one thing I just thought of.
Well, we have, we can.
The lieutenants with range, didn't you give, I thought we added to the contract like a range qualification if you're a range instructor.
That was already passed, wasn't it?
That's already done.
Yeah,
It is?
If
Okay.
that's something that's already done.
It's in the contract. I don't know if it's in the
Then
ordinance.
and we passed the contract.
It's
Okay.
not.
Yeah.
Right, but is it in for non-union?
Yeah, the lieutenants are non-union.
Good point.
Did the firearm cert not get pulled out? I thought maybe it did.
No, it was
No.
tactical instructor, firearms. I'd have to look at it.
So, if you look at the amendment, and if you look under subsection A2B, it's the certification stipend for fire, you can see that there's some new language, or any other certification for which a stipend is granted to members of the fire collective bargaining unit. You could have similar language for the police department in section, well, we probably create a new one, it would be a new section 1A1C. So we could do that for next time if you'd like.
It just popped in my head.
Do you want to do this at 1 or 1, 2, 3 then?
Well, this has already been to 1. We can just go to 2. Go to 2, and then you guys can amend it and get it right.
There'll be some time for additional reflection.
All right, so that's all for legislation. We have a motion about these properties on Shepherd and Ledge. Jan, I assign this to you. Are you okay with doing this one, the motion?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I know both houses.
Okay, I just wanted
I
to
looked
sure
at the
if that
house
makes
that
you
was-
want to do them or not want
Yeah,
to do them.
no,
so.
I looked at the house that was next door when it was up for sale, so that one's been like that. I looked at that house like eons ago, so.
Mr. Rodick, do you have any points you want to make to these, or?
Yeah, well, I did kind of put together an enhanced packet to kind of color the order with a few of the exhibits that we had accumulated. It's just only a small portion of what we had, but it kind of gives you an idea on what state the building is actually in. I think Monica will be able to describe exactly what the legislation that's going to be about, but I wanted to give that to you so you'd be able to really identify what the purpose was behind gaining the warrant and actually conducting the inspection and requesting that the demolition order be upheld by our city council.
And if they don't do the demolition, do we automatically do it and hire someone?
That would be the case. If they would not do it, we would take that upon ourselves to do that. And there's a route within the ordinance that it would become an assessment and we would assess the cost as such against their taxes.
Okay, but we don't own the property, we just remove
We would.
the abodes that are on there.
And that's actually where
Yes,
we're
yes, yes.
at.
They
Right.
still own the property,
Yeah, what you just said is exactly where we're at right now.
right?
Commissioner Rodick has already issued the order, the notice to demolish. The owner has had, both owners have had more than 30 days
Okay.
since they received the certified service. They haven't taken that action, and as a result, the next step is for council to pass authorization to send formal demolition notices, basically saying, since you haven't done what you need to do, the city's gonna take that action to alleviate the safety issues that exist. And there's a 30-day wait period between when that notice goes out to the next step, which is you passing actual legislation to proceed with the demolition. That'll be the next step for you.
So what we're basically doing is passing to notify them that
Correct.
we will have the houses and demolished.
Correct.
And all the debris removed, and then they get assessed for the cost
Correct.
of what we did. Is that assessment going to the city tax or the county?
It'll go down to the county on the tax duplicate,
Okay.
and we obviously won't know those costs yet.
No,
This is something that I've been dealing with for the 5 years in this role. I can tell you before Bob, Nina was dealing with this. It literally took this long, and of the complaints I get outside of speeders, this is number 2. So we've come a long, long way to get this through the legal process to get to where we stand today. So I think the people that are tired of living next door to that and seeing that would be very happy to see this move forward.
Well, there was a third house involved, and that was rectified and taken care of. There was an agreement with that, and I can tell you that that next door neighbor on Indian Run is very happy just with the work that's been done there up to this point.
There's actually 4. There's another one that's in the mix, but that'll be forthcoming.
And Mr. Rodick actually we obtained a search warrant from Stowe Municipal Court, and the summaries that you see, the initial orders, remedial orders that Mr. Rodick sent out, those summarize the findings from those execution of those administrative search warrants.
And the motion I make is exactly what you wrote there. Okay.
Do you
Thank you.
anticipate
If
us,
I can remember not to say Jay Tully and Jay Brandt.
Hello, I am your name.
do you anticipate us acting on this relatively quickly, 30 days from the letter going out?
It's the legal process, so whenever.
Yeah, it's just a wait time. So
Well, we have to encumber money too. This is, we don't know what the costs are. And John in our staff meeting was talking about that. We don't know what the costs are. I have no idea what this is gonna cost.
Okay.
So until we get some idea of what the costs are,
Right.
it's hard to say.
But conceivably, we could, 30 days from the letter going out, is it 30 days from it going out or 30 days from being
30
received?
days from receipt, yeah.
So 30 days after that, we could potentially pass the subsequent ordinance and it could potentially be done before the end of the year?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, that'll be up to you, quite frankly.
right,
When you want to pass it.
got it. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions on that motion? Mr. Veras, do you have something?
I do have an updated 5-year capital that I'd like to pass out. Last time I passed out one
July.
July 13th.
Yeah.
So the plan would be to have a meeting. These are, these numbers will be part of, that's John and David, yeah. As we've done in the past few years, is we've put the annual budget on the last meeting in October, first read, second read in November, third read in December. So the plan would be to obviously pass these out, and then review the 2024 columns prior, we'll set a meeting an hour prior to the council caucus for the last meeting in October. do that, and if there's time, go into the operating for the first read. Have another meeting prior to the November council meeting, another finance committee meeting. Finish day operating, and then schedule a, if needed, finance meeting prior to December, depending on how these first two meetings go.
Okay.
So an hour before each,
Yes.
October, November, December. And,
Can you real quick explain the different colors?
oh,
You have purple and you have yellow.
purple is borrowing, and then the yellow is the planned capital. And just so you know, I mean, these are what I've been doing since the last, we go through each department, we talk weekly probably, about their planned capital and any changes. And actually Dan and I just met yesterday, and then we talked again today about not really adding dollars, but moving dollars around, because you'll see I moved, or will move the, I think you guys have a copy, I did move it, the borrowing for the service center
Right.
complex,
Next
because
year.
we're not gonna need to borrow between now and the end of the year, so I moved that over, and we'll amend the budget to reflect that move. So it's a working document, and I'd like to stress, I don't put stuff on here that I don't feel we can afford or pay for, or, you know, it's not a wish list document. It's really a working document that I feel comfortable with, the department heads feel comfortable with. So here's the updated version.
The mayor's probably comfortable with it too.
I hope he is. I always send it to him first before I present you guys with anything.
So we will have, you know, an hour before, I guess, Vinnie, you can go ahead and talk about the meeting.
Yes, we will have a meeting, the second council meeting in October. We'll take
26th,
the
I
hour, and we'll be,
26,
Yeah.
right before Halloween. Should we wear our costumes?
Yeah.
Yes.
no.
Yes, I'll be there. Oh, no?
Yeah.
Make sure you let me know that day.
You're not gonna get a text from us. What's the dress for the evening on this one?
Maybe I'll
Because
change-
I already know how you are, which, you know, you have that spare closet with more costumes than I got
Yes, sir.
suits.
I'll change the yellow to orange, that'll go better with the purple
Yeah.
for
There
Halloween.
you go, for
We
Halloween.
could do Barbie or the Ninja Turtles.
Okay,
Or
so we'll
both.
just plan on to have those, and then when we do our
Yeah,
committee
and,
meeting stuff up there, you let people know it'll be an hour before the
yeah,
next three
and if
meetings.
there's any, you know, send me an email, call me if you have any questions in the meantime, prior to the meeting.
And then remind me, next meeting we'll vote on transferring the November and December meetings. All right, thanks guys, we'll see you out there.
Hello and welcome to the September 28th council meeting. It is 7:30 PM. Will Mr. Hoover please call the roll?
Ms. Brandt.
Here.
Mr. Garvis.
Here.
Ms. Tully.
Here.
Mr. Ventura.
Here.
Now I ask American Legion Chaplain Tom O'Brien to lead us in the invocation and the pledge.
Thank you, Your Honor. Honorable members of City Council, distinguished guests, and fellow citizens, as we gather here today for this important City Council meeting, we invoke the spirit of unity and collaboration. In this diverse and vibrant community, we come together with a shared commitment to the betterment of our city and the well-being of our citizens. Let us remember that our roles as public servants carry a profound responsibility to uphold the principles of fairness, justice, and progress. As we deliberate on matters that shape our city's future, may we approach each decision with wisdom and empathy, always keeping the interests of our community at heart. May the discussions and actions taken today lead to a stronger, more inclusive, and prosperous city for all who call it home. And let us be ever mindful of our first responders, those brave men and women who keep our city and its citizens safe both day and night. And in closing, we ask for thy blessing and comfort for our neighbors who may be suffering from physical, mental, or financial distress. Cheer them and bring them thy blessing of health and happiness. Amen. And now with hand over heart, please face the flag and join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As always, thank you, Mr. O'Brien. We appreciate you. Okay, next on our agenda is a presentation on the county reappraisal process. If you guys can come to the mic up here and speak, we'd love to hear from you.
Hi, Dominic Basile with the Summit County Fiscal Office. I'm the Director of Real Estate and Appraisal. Put together a few pieces of documentation here for you. I don't know how. So as most of you, I'm sure all of you are aware, 2023 was a reappraisal year for Summit County. It was what we call an update reappraisal, so we're on a 6-year cycle, and at the midpoint of that cycle, we do an update, which is called the update triennial, referred to as a triennial reappraisal. Essentially, what we're doing is just updating their values from where they were originally set when we did the sexennial or full reappraisal, which would have been back in 2020. One thing that we found in speaking with people, a lot of people don't realize just how much the state is involved in this entire process from start to finish. So I've included there a map of Summit County and each individual jurisdiction where we ended up with the value, so the increase in value that each jurisdiction saw due to this reappraisal. And on the following page, there's actually the schedule that's issued by the Ohio Taxation that lets every county know when they're ordered to conduct reappraisals. Not only does the state tell us when we have to do it, they actually also order us to increase values to a certain level by property class. So for residential, the state ordered us to increase property values by 34%. We were able to go back to the state and get that down to 31.4%, which they did except for residential countywide on average. And this, the third page, will just show the original increase that the state ordered for each of the 13 counties that were also due for a triennial reappraisal this year in '23. Following page is just that in a different representation. But as you can see, Summit County actually didn't fare too poorly, all things considered. I think Claremont, Butler, some of these other counties were ordered to go up 43, 42, 40%, 34. We've been hosting community events. Unfortunately, we just wrapped that up. The last one was in Richfield last week. But you can still approach or contact us if you're not satisfied with your 23 value. Deadline is quickly approaching, though. It's actually tomorrow at 4. So unfortunately, it's coming up quickly. So we can't go in and review values after the 29th at 4 p.m. We have to stop that so that the state can certify values. Once they're certified, anyone who does not agree with their 23 value would have to proceed with a more formal dispute through the board of revision. So at the very back, I've got in case anyone is interested or any of your constituents contact, it's just the rules and procedures for the board of revision, how to fill out the form, and any other information they would need to proceed with a formal dispute. But I believe that's in a nutshell. So any questions, we're more than willing to answer.
Is the formal dispute through the state or the county?
Through the county. Yeah, Summit County Board of Revisions, if you're not happy with the ruling that you receive at the county level, you can proceed to the state level through the board, the BTA, Board of Tax Appeals, and appeal the decision that the Board of Revision made at the county level.
Wasn't there a push to delay this? I know I could have swore there was something through our state rep where they said that they were trying to delay this and the state actually continued on with it because, I mean, this is a very significant increase that I know you probably heard a lot about, I hear a lot about. And what about those that, may not be able to afford this?
Yeah, I appreciate that question, actually. Yeah, the state, for reasons we've yet to determine, in 2020, changed the game, so to speak, to be honest. So in all other reappraisals, historically, we've always used 3 years of sales. So we used the 3 years preceding the lien date for this reappraisal. So typically, we would have used 2020, 21, and 22 sales to determine 2023 values. However, in 2020, with the sexennial, the full reappraisal, the state we were ordered to only use the 1 year immediately preceding the reappraisal. So we were forced to use 2022 sales only to determine 2023 values. And I'm sure you can imagine how that affected the overall increase.
And that's, well, given the circumstances of what the economy forced and where the housing market went, you can imagine, I'm sure, again, you probably know all this, but I'm saying this for the public's sake, how outrageous that is.
Yes.
Because that's, again, it's not your fault. I know the state pushed this, and you're kind of the people in the middle, and I'm sure you get not so nice phone calls, but
Yeah.
as long as we can tell them and make, people aware that this actually came from the state, the county's just doing their job, I mean, I respect that, so, but I don't agree with what the state did, because I think this is just completely outrageous.
Yeah, we can fully appreciate that. It is a tough spot, and a lot of people don't realize how much the state factors in. But they do have full control of the process, from when we do it to how we do it, and how much values go up. We don't have much say in that.
So home rule's out the window, huh?
Yeah, unfortunately, there is the House Bill 920, which will kick in. And we also like to remind people that although their value may have gone up 20%, 30%, 40%, the taxes will not go up commensurate to that value increase. So they won't raise in proportion to. It's just the inside millage that will go up, but the outside, House Bill 920 will kick in and prevent big increases or windfalls due to mass.
Is that only
value
true
increases.
for existing levies? Like, if there were to be a new levy on the ballot, it would be based on the new market value of your home with the increase, right?
Yeah, for the technical questions, I defer to Christina. who's our-
A new levy in a year where there's a reappraisal is still subject to reduction factors.
So at what point wouldn't it be? If you don't mind.
I'm sorry?
So at some point, this will get certified by the state, right? And then at some point in the future, if there was a future levy put on the ballot, it would be based on the higher value of the property tax. Do you know when that will be? Like, is that sometime in 2024, 25?
So if there's a new levy that is put on the ballot during like our 23 tax year, then it would go into effect for next year, and it would still be subject to tax reduction factors.
Right.
So once we certify our values to the state at the end of October, beginning of November, then we get, after all the elections, after we get all the election results from the November election, we have to certify all that information to the state as well. And then usually around the end of December, we get our tax rates for the upcoming year.
Okay,
So
so this wouldn't happen till
have-
25?
Yeah, we won't have any definite rates until the end of this year.
Okay. And you said the deadline was tomorrow. That means it's really not practical for anyone to proceed with a dispute other than through the Board of Revision at this point?
Up until 4 o'clock tomorrow.
Until 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, we encourage them to reach out and get a hold of us. If
Oh,
we
there's
can
still
have
time,
them-
okay.
Yeah, if they get in touch with us by 4 o'clock tomorrow, we will definitely do our best to see if we can have with the need to proceed to the Board of Revision. I'll leave some cards too with my direct number.
So we will see a tax increase, I mean, assuming, if one's taxes, appraisal went up, we'll see that increase in our tax bill for the first half of 2024?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just want to say thank you for taking the time to come. After I met with you at Twinsburg, we had a very long discussion and talked about this, and I said, would you mind coming and talking so that it can be recorded for the residents, because all they see is, this was my value, this is now my value, and most of them, as I told you, haven't done anything to their houses. So the housing market went up. It's supposed to drop this year, so we'll see what happens. Is there any consideration to change this if it drops? Or is it stays what's been proposed?
Yeah, I would say it would stay as proposed, at least for 23. Now, they could contact us, they could file with the Board of Revision on their 24 value. But even on the 23 value, the board, I believe, would consider recent sales, maybe even if they're after the lien date of 23. Typically, I believe they do consider most recent sales into the market. And they can't file with the board up until January anyway, so they can file between January 1st and March 31st.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Appreciate your
Thank you
time.
very much. Thanks for all your hard work. I know you guys kind of been slammed with this whole process, but thanks for explaining it.
I hope
to
we
us.
were your easiest community.
Yes.
And you guys will stick around if anyone wanted to talk to you. Did you want to speak with them after the meeting? Anyone in the audience? Okay. Just so you know. So if you guys left, you wouldn't be.
Mr. Larmer, did you want to talk to them afterwards?
I got the card, I'm good.
Okay.
And yes, I will be talking to them.
Okay, moving on to approval of minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes on the Thursday, September 14th, 2023 regular council meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Approval of minutes complete. Public comments, we have one tonight. We ask you to come to the microphone, give your name and address. We keep this to 5 minutes. Chief, if you can keep the time for me. Come on, Miss Bartel.
Thank you very much. Ellen Bertel, 319 West Highland Road in Northfield Center. I'm the representative from the Palmer House, the Historical Society of Old Northfield. Earlier this year, you had approved a $500 grant for us to do some capital improvements. And due to vacations and stuff, I haven't been able to get back. But we did decide on a couple things, and I want to know whether or not this falls within what you consider capital improvement. We would like to get a new flagpole. The flagpole we have right now is very unoperational. If we want to raise or lower the flag, we actually have to pull the flagpole out of the ground, and somebody has to hold it while we put the flag on it and then insert it back into the ground. So we would like to do that. We found one through Amazon for about $237 plus our shipping. And then we would also like to purchase an appropriate mannequin for the uniform that we have for Sergeant Schoaf, who is one of our World War II heroes. He was in the Battle of the Bulge, and we were able to acquire his uniform about a year and a half ago. The mannequin is about $200 plus, again, shipping. And so I was wondering whether or not those would qualify.
I would think they do, and I'll defer to the law department, but yeah, I would think those are capital improvements.
Yeah, I think we conditioned, I'd have to go back and look at the motion, but off the top of my head, I think we conditioned the grant that it had to benefit, the use of the money had to benefit the city of Macedonia some way. Those two things are probably broad enough to, it's a benefit for all the communities, so.
Yeah. I think you're good.
Okay, and then after we purchase, how do I submit the invoice then for our reimbursement?
I would contact our finance director, Mr. Veras, and he'll be able to help you with that.
Okay.
And I'm sure he has a card on him he'd be happy to give to you.
Okay. I just want to say that with all 4 communities supporting us this year, we were actually able to meet our budget. And with your $500 and another very generous donation we have, we actually ended up with an extra $1,000 that we can use on capital improvements this year. That and repair and maintenance. And we have been working with Longwood Manor. And we made a trade earlier this year with our artifacts that was able to benefit both of us to enhance our collections. We had an old couch that was around the 1920s period, which just did not fit our style at all at the Palmer House. And they had the Foote family Bible, the Foote family from being down in the valley from the Foote Farms. And that went back into the very early 1800s. So we swapped those two things. And it worked out to everybody's pleasure. They love their couch. It fits their decor perfectly, fits the timeline, and we have something a little smaller, a little more historic in our museum. So I want to thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would like to stay for the whole meeting, but I can't. I'm fostering a litter of 3-week-old kittens, and I've got to get home.
Oh, I'm sorry. Once you come and speak, you have to stay the whole time. It's the new rule. You can't leave.
To the end.
Thank you.
I have a question for Mr. Goodetti.
Yes, sir.
Would it be proper to have a motion to confirm that spending on those items so that we have a record of, yes, council did approve for those very specifics?
We did that the last time, so.
You can do that unless you want me to review the legislation and the restrictions you place on the donation. It's up to you if you want to wait for me to do that.
Could you have it for the next meeting? Because we did do it by motion for the first one. I'm not hearing anyone disagreeing with it. It's just we want to follow the rules and the laws so we don't get in any kind of trouble between the two of us.
Okay, so I should wait until after the next meeting before I order anything?
It's up to you if you want me to review.
Well, I can make a motion, if you could hand him the list of items, unless you wrote them all down.
I did.
Okay.
Ms. Tully, would you entertain a motion to approve?
Yes,
for
I make a
proposed
motion
purchases?
to accept spending money for the Palmer House, Northville Historical Society.
Can
I
we
always
do
want
that
to
right
call it
now?
Nordonia.
Be specific about the.
We're a little out of
For
order.
the,
Unless
wait,
they-
I'm not
unless
done
they
yet.
want me to review the-
For the items as indicated by Mr. Goodetti, could you list the items?
It's a mannequin for, I believe it was Sergeant Holtz, in the amount of $200 plus shipping costs, as well as a new flagpole, replacement flagpole, in the amount of $237, again, plus shipping costs, not to exceed the donation amount of $500.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
You're ready to
You're all
go.
set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you at the next one.
All right, correspondence from the clerk.
None, sir.
Can you hand that down to John for me, please? Pending a new legislation, starting with Resolution 87.
I move to have 87 held at the second read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I think you still need to read it, don't you? I think it's, wouldn't hurt us.
Okay.
People know what we're doing.
Resolution opposing HR 3372, a U.S. House of Representatives bill to amend Title 23 of the U.S. Code to establish a pilot program concerning certain six-axle vehicles operating on the interstate highway system.
Thank you. Ordinance number 90.
I'd like to offer ordinance 90, 2023 for its second reading by title only.
An ordinance amending section 161.18 of the codified ordinances of the City of Macedonia relative to certain employee benefits.
Any other motions or legislative actions?
I'd like to make a motion to issue written notice pursuant to City Codified Ordinance 1385.11 to the owner of 1250 Twinsburg Road and to the owner of 8334 Shepherd Road of the city's intent to demolish the buildings located on the respective properties.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Brief explanation, Commissioner Rhoda, can you kind of touch on what this is all about, please?
Certainly, thanks, Mayor. These buildings have been identified as a public nuisance. We obtained a administrative search warrant to verify that, actually entering the buildings with the assistance of the police department and the fire department. And also with the assistance of the law department, we prepared orders regarding the demolition based upon the inspection. We issued an order in August of this past year. That order gave the owners 10 days from the date of receipt to appeal the order to our local Board of Appeals and 30 days to conduct or complete the demolition on their own. These owners have failed in both cases. And so at this juncture, the ordinance requires City Council to go ahead and formally author and issue a intent to demolish order to the owners of the property.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Any other motions or legislative actions? Hearing none, I'll move right into the mayor's report. We talk a lot about economic development. TJ Maxx is opening on November 5th. That's the date that we've been given for that, so that's coming here very soon. Sephora and Nordstrom Rack are both still coming. I see a lot of the things out there in the chatter of they're not coming. My cousin's aunt from twice removed said it's not coming. They're both coming. So if you ever have a question about those, feel free to contact my office. I'll be very happy to answer any questions about any new businesses or anything going on in the community.
Are they leaving Kohl's?
That I don't know. And from what I understand, Sephora is staying in Kohl's as well. I don't know why, but I think those are two separate entities.
They renovated the whole Kohl's and
Yeah.
for it, so surprise.
The service building's moving right along. Long process, many steps, more to come on that in the near future. We recently did the State of the Communities. We posted that on our website if you'd like to take a look at that to see where we kind of stand over the past year with a detailed report of every department we have over the past year. It's a nice way to do that, macedonia.oh.us. And I know we also put it on our social media platform, which is primarily Facebook for that type of thing. So if you'd like to watch that, please do and check that out and get informed of where we stand. Another big thing I kind of touched on already, if you have a problem in our community, don't take that to Facebook on a random page. If there's an issue that you have that you want us to take care of or you need help with, the easiest and best, most logical way to deal with that would be to you can call City Hall at 468-8300, listen to the prompts for the corresponding department that you need to speak to. B, you can go to macedonia.oh.us. There's listings of all the emails, phone numbers, and everyone that works within City Hall to the corresponding department to what you may need or may not need. Please take that there. That's where we deal with business. We're not monitoring random Facebook pages. We're not looking at things on there. We really want to serve you, but it's a disservice to yourself if you're taking that to a random Facebook page. We've had a lot of those problems pop up of late. It's not me scolding the public. This is me saying if you want our help, I want to help you. And the best way to do that is by calling us, emailing us, and letting us know what's going on so that we can rectify whatever issue you may have, or just answer a question. We're always open to do that. We get a lot of people asking a lot of questions like I referenced with the businesses that are coming in here. If you got a question when it's coming, give us a call. We'll answer that. We'll let you know. building department, myself, whoever, we're more than willing to give you any information you want. We're here to serve you. Last but not least, please don't drive distracted. Put the phones down and drive your car. Remember that the law is going to affect next month. We are going to be a zero tolerance community. If you are on your phone in your in Macedonia, there's going to be zero tolerance with that. So I want to make it very, very clear to everyone that if you're driving with that phone in your hand, it's dangerous, and we are not going to tolerate that. Okay, moving on to committee reports.
Parks and Rec Commission had our September meeting last Wednesday. We got to meet the new pool supervisor, Jim Clark. He's great. I'm very excited for you guys to have him. He's going to bring a fresh perspective to the whole rec center and the pool. And also we wish John Doyle well. That's pretty much the bulk of what our meeting was. They're moving right along. They're always doing so much work with maintenance in the park themselves. You know, the parks have their own service people, and sometimes, you know, they have to commingle with the public service department, and everyone works together. But there's so much work. You know, you guys, we really have amazing green space in Longwood, but you know, it does need to be taken care of and mowed, and trees taken care of. So we had a really great update about what's been going on all summer and what we can look forward to in the fall. Our next meeting for October, which is typically on the third Wednesday, we're actually going to be Monday, October 16th at 6 o'clock in the upstairs room at the rec center. It might possibly change, probably won't, so keep an eye on the calendar if you're interested in coming and attending a Parks and Rec Commission meeting, which is open to the public. And that's all.
Okay, also, we are going to have a finance committee meeting on the 26th of October. We'll go over the 5-year plan. If there are any questions, we all have our information. It was given to us today by the finance director. So we will cover that and then continue on throughout the year as we go along. And that is also an open meeting. That will be posted an hour before the work session. We will not know exactly what time that will start until the council president gets the agenda and can schedule that properly. So again, keep an eye on your calendars and the Facebook.
Any other committee reports? Hearing none, we'll go on to the department reports, starting with Director Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. We've been busy lately with hanging baskets. We moved to fall flowers. They're beautiful, so check them out. We've taken the other flowers that are sort of wilted, and they're being composted and put to good use. All of my team, all of the union members have done CPR and first aid in the last couple of weeks. We split them up so we didn't have everyone in there. But it's been several years, I guess, since they've done anything like that. And Public Works has been a real push in the last 5-10 years that, you know, they're first responders too. I mean, I'm not saying they're like police and fire, but a lot of times they're in the street and they pull up on things or whatever. They're in the public where they need to be first responders. So I just feel like CPR and first aid is really important for them to have. So I want to thank the fire department for helping us with that, making that happen, specifically Selensky, Paul Selensky. And finally, service guys worked really hard at Fall Fest. I almost steal Director Chadwick's thunder, but the service guys, they put a lot into it. Fall Fest was a great thing this year. And I just thank all the guys for their hard work. That's all.
Another point to make here, because it's coming very quickly, but leaf season is upon us. We do not allow for leaves to be put into the road. They have to be in your yard or somewhere within the vicinity of your property, not in the road. So I'm a little early on that, I know, but I want to say that. I'm going to say that every time.
Start talking about leaves.
Yeah, it's coming quick.
October 16th.
Yeah, so we're a couple weeks out. So thank you. Mr. Gelati.
Yeah, thank you. At the previous meeting, council passed legislation to award the contract for the Iroquois Trail roadside drainage improvements. That work is now scheduled to start the week of October 19th. All affected residents on Iroquois Trail are being notified by mail. Thank you.
Thanks. Director Chaddock.
Thank you, Mayor. As Director Wilson alluded to, Fall Fest last weekend was a big success. Huge crowds. I'd like to thank Sam Edgar for organizing the event for us. She's done a really good job the last couple of years of expanding it. Thanks to service and the police department for being on site, helping us out throughout the course of the day. Really helps us to have all that additional help, and obviously having the police there is a huge asset to us as it helps keep the peace, especially while serving alcohol to people for 4 or 5 hours. Everyone did a great job though. To show you the size of the event, Barrio sold out of tacos. So that's a pretty impressive thing. I think it was the barbecue food truck sold like 50 pounds worth of brisket. So that's pretty impressive numbers there. And multiple vendors sold out of beer. So good turnout, lots of activity going on. And the right team won on Saturday night. I would just like to point that out. Aside from that, as Council President Brandt alluded to, we have Jim Clark here. He had joined us about a week and a half ago, and obviously had the opportunity to see PRC from jump, because that was his first day of work. So it worked out really good. He's been showing himself around the pump room. I say showing himself around the pump room at the rec center because he's a very talented maintenance individual who knows pools thoroughly. So it's kind of nice to have that versus us having to show everybody everything. So it's been great to have him on board, and he's getting started with everything. So be sure to come by the pool to meet him. And let's see, what else do I have? I think that's it.
A great event, thanks to you and your staff for that. And I don't think we could have had a more perfect day for that event than we did. So thanks for all that you did. And OH. JB.
Did you not think I was on House Safety?
You were saying some things about Notre Dame, I'm just gonna say.
No, I was excited at last night. Just want to wish Chief Ripley a happy birthday. His birthday's tomorrow, and we look forward to him coming back soon in a report.
Thank you. Director Collins.
Thanks, Mayor. IT department closed 42 tickets since the last council meeting. Major projects include a couple of new user computers, a couple of hard drive replacements, and putting some new microphones in council chambers. End of report, thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, and everybody got new pop shields too.
All right.
Because the other ones were coming apart.
You have
Excuse me, I thought we were supposed to move.
I thought it tasted funny.
You thought it tasted different? Yeah. I got you the cherry flavored one, so I hope that works.
Commissioner Rodick.
Thank you, Mayor. To touch on the mayor's report, with Nordstrom Rack, we've issued permits for the exterior facade and for the interior build-out already. I also want to thank council for passing the motion tonight. I do appreciate that. It's another step in the road to getting these nuisances resolved. Thank you.
Thanks. Director Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. City is scheduled for its biometric and flu shot on 10/27 on site from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Also, we will be doing a virtual health fair starting that same day. We will have many live events going on that employees can take advantage of. But in addition to that, we will leave the site open for an additional 30 days for those employees who may not be on staff or unable to attend the live portion, which ultimately gives everybody the opportunity to earn points for Be Well, so that will help offset their contributions toward the benefits for 2024. End of report.
Thank you. Assistant Chief Solinsky.
Thank you, Mayor. First, on behalf of the Fire Department, I want to wish Chief Ripley a happy birthday tomorrow. Also want to take the time to thank Mr. Wilson for your commitment to making that happen. It is a big undertaking, you understand that. Being able to do that was awesome. We also believe the same thing you do, that they are in the street. Anytime that we can have any of our members close to somebody in need or recognize an emergency is pretty important to both police and fire. So thank you both. In just under 2 weeks, Nassau
Macedonia Fire Department will be having its annual fire prevention open house. That's Tuesday, October 10th. That'll be from 5 to 8 p.m. There will be food trucks for many. That'll be at Macedonia Station 1 at 9691 Valley View. This open house is being held in conjunction with the National Fire Prevention Week. And we're going to have some fire extinguisher demonstrations. Our safety forces drone team will be there and doing some demonstrations. The fire safety trailer will be there. And we're going to come out and touch a fire truck. And we actually have some children's games planned with some prizes. So please come on out. And that's all for my report.
Thank you. Chief Yakupovich.
Thank you, Mayor. So our school resource officer, John Wright, started on Monday, and he hit the ground running. He was able to participate in our multi-agency training we had at the high school. So it was nice for him. He was able to meet Officer Sagamore in Northfield, and he's going to work out real well. Also, yesterday, the Civil Service Task Force dispatch position was held. I'm told that the Civil Service Commission will be meeting on Tuesday to hopefully certify that list, so we'll be starting the interview soon. That's all I have.
Thank you. Director Goodetti.
No part, sir.
Okay, any unfinished business?
To help stop the rumors also, Director Roddick, can you talk about the bank that's going in next to Panda Express? They had a lot of activity today, so I'm assuming you're going to start getting some phone calls. You might as well tell them beforehand.
Certainly, that will be a Chase Bank. We issued the permits for that a while ago. They had some issues to resolve internally, but they've been approved by the Planning Commission, and they'll be under construction, I believe, for 4 to 5 months before they open.
That's also part of the JED, which I believe that resides in Northfield Center, correct? That portion? So
Yes.
we work with them on their zoning, obviously, but that's Northfield Center, part of our JED. So we're very clear on that.
Thank you.
Any new business? I'll just add one more thing. Go Knights tomorrow. I know we're 6-0, and I know we got a great team, and I hope you have a great day tomorrow. And I'll leave it at that. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.